Program for timely, relevant, and people-focused conversations. I'm Ukemere Tukwa. Today we bring you stories and conversations shaping health and well-being, including important discussions on why investing in early childhood development, especially for children affected in conflict displacement and humanitarian crisis, is essential for Nigeria's future. On that note, let's begin with our health news.
We begin with a fresh development, where in a major move to boost Nigeria's drive towards achieving universal health coverage, the federal government has secured nearly $500 million in support from Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, to strengthen immunization and primary health care over the next 5 years. The funding, approved under the Gavi 6.0 program, followed high-level talks between Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Muhammad Ali Pate, and Gavi Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Sania Nishta, in Abuja. The minister says ongoing reforms in the health sector are already yielding results, revealing that quarterly visits to primary health care centers have increased from about 10 million in 2023 to over 45 million, reflecting improved access to quality health care.
We're a large country, and the fact that you are proposing almost $500 million over the next 5 years for Nigeria's vaccine effort, I think speaks volumes. For us, that is another impetus for us to do more with our domestic financing to ensure that we secure the vaccines, but also we ensure that they are delivered.
The funding will support routine immunization, sustain polio eradication efforts, expand human papillomavirus vaccination, and strengthen primary health care services across the country.
So these are the 5 objectives of our visit. To recap, number 1, to reaffirm our support. Number 2, to explain to you how your voices have really mattered, not just for Nigeria, but for the continent, and to go with details of the country letter if you wish. Number 3, to assist you in overcoming any fiscal challenges in the spirit of partnership.
He also urged state governments to increase investment in healthcare and immunizations, stressing that stronger collaboration at all levels of government is essential to achieving universal health coverage and improving health outcomes for all Nigerians. Still on health news today, Kaduna State is stepping up investments in its healthcare sector as the government says its partnership with the Gates Foundation is delivering results in expanding access to quality health services, especially for vulnerable and underserved communities. Governor Uba Sani says the partnership, which stemmed from an agreement signed in New York last year, has helped fast-track healthcare reforms across the state. Speaking during a meeting with a delegation from the Gates Foundation, the governor disclosed that the state has recruited 1,500 healthcare workers under a 5-year plan to employ 1,800 personnel, describing the move as a major step towards addressing the shortage of health professionals.
Still ahead on Health Digest, some major health developments making headlines. Wearable health technology has developed far beyond counting steps. Devices such as smartwatches, smart rings, skin patches, and medical sensors can now monitor health indicators, including heart rate and abnormal heart rhythms, blood oxygen levels, sleep patterns, physical activity, and body temperature. Glucose levels in some specialized devices as well. The major innovation is a continuous monitoring and traditionally accepted method in which a doctor may measure a patient's blood pressure or heart rate only during hospital visits. Now, wearable technology can potentially collect health information throughout the day and identify unusual changes. In Africa, however, the affordability remained a significant issue. The greatest potential may therefore not only lie in its expensive consumer smartwatches, but in the affordable medical sensor and remote monitoring devices designed specifically for low resource settings. Next, it's Truth Lab, where we shed light on health topics that matter and separate health facts from the myths. Stay with us. Today's question is, can you eat your way to twins? The answer is no. There is no scientific evidence that it does. However, in a town called Igbora in Oyo State, often called the twin capital of the world, known to be a town with one of the highest rates of twin births anywhere, for generations, many residents have believed that regularly eating ewedu, lasa, and local white yams, as well as drinking the town's water, contribute to the unusually high number of twins. However, scientific research tells a different story. Studies have found no proven compound in ewedu or okra leaves that causes a woman to release multiple eggs, which is what leads to fraternal twins. Instead, researchers believe the main reason lies in genetics. Many women in the Yoruba population, especially around Igbora, appear to have an inherited tendency to hyperovulate, meaning they naturally release more than one egg during ovulation. When both eggs are fertilized, fraternal twins are then conceived. So while ewedu is a healthy vegetable packed with fiber, vitamins, and antioxidants, there is currently no scientific proof that it causes twin pregnancies. The remarkable number of twins in Igbora is best explained by hereditary factors rather than diet. Experts say the first 5 years of a child's life represent the most critical period of brain development. Now, according to child development specialists, quality nutrition, healthcare, responsive caregiving, protection, and early learning opportunities during these formative years significantly influences a child's health, education, and productivity later in life. Stakeholders are therefore calling for stronger policies and increased investments in early childhood development across Nigeria. If you love our news and updates, stay connected with our space through our social media platforms. We're Ukeme on air on Instagram, YouTube, and of course on LinkedIn. Coming up next is Nature's Healers before we round up. We're going to be exploring foods and nutrients that support the body and contribute overall to your well-being. Let's break it down. Today we're exploring Aiden fruit, scientifically known as Tetraplora tetrapreta. Native to West Africa, this dark brown aromatic fruit pod is popularly known as Aridan among the Yoruba people and goes by different names in other communities. For centuries, Aiden fruit has been valued not only for its instinctive flavors, but also for its role in traditional healing. Different parts of the plant, including the fruit pod, bark, and leaves, have been used to help relieve digestive comfort, support women during postpartum recovery, reduce inflammation, manage fever, and improve general body strength. Researchers have identified several natural compounds in Aiden fruit, including flavonoids, tannin, saponins, and other antioxidants. Laboratory and animal studies suggest these compounds may have antioxidants, antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, and blood sugar-related properties. Aiden fruit is also naturally fragrant, just as one small piece of the dried pod can flavor an entire pod of its soup, making it one of West Africa's most aromatic traditional spices. Nature has long provided ingredients that flourish both our bodies and our cultures. Aiden fruit is a perfect example of how traditional knowledge and modern science can come together. But it's always so important to remember that traditional remedies should complement and not replace professional. Thank you for staying tuned to Health Digest. Yes, so it is our time for the expert chart on Health Digest. We're going to be looking at an interesting topic in light of recent events. As we must know by now, the children that were kidnapped from their various, educational centers in Oyo have been rescued. However, the lasting psychosocial effects are an area in which that we don't speak about, and this is a cause for us to pay greater attention to our mental health. So today we're going to be discussing early development, trauma, and so much more. And to give us insights on this conversation, we're going to be having Mojeed Alabi, who is the co-chair coordinator of the REACH Network, which is a part of the Moving Minds Alliance convergence of organizations, CSOs that come together to ensure that children have good early development, especially when it comes to crisis. I'll also be speaking with Peter Fojino, who is the Educational Technical Advisor for Save the Children, and we're going to be discussing early childhood development and crisis when it comes to their development. Hi, good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. Good afternoon. How are you doing, Mojeed, and how are you doing, Mr. Peter, this beautiful afternoon?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Very happy being with you this afternoon, and it's a pleasure.
Absolutely amazing.
Good afternoon, viewers. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. So I met you guys during a convergence for like minds, especially those in the journalistic areas when it comes to early childhood development. I'd like to get a quick take on the importance of early childhood development in crisis management from Save the Children with Mr. Peter, and then I'll take Mr. Mojeed's view on this. Please go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much for this very wonderful topic. The topic that should be talked over in recent times because of how critical this topic is. Early childhood development actually matters a whole lot in crisis context, knowing fully that in crisis context, children are the most affected. And when it comes to the development of a child, especially in crisis, the child usually missed out on a number of things. What are we talking about? We're talking about access to nutrition, access to learning opportunities, and access to health. And as you are aware, as you know, rather, I would say for every child, nearly 90% of the child's brain develop within the first 5 years. The first 1,000 days is very critical for every child. And for every child to develop to reach its full potential, it is expected that the child have access to health and nutrition, where the child is able to develop. And then beyond just health and nutrition, we're also talking about access to learning opportunity, where the child is able to interact and have some kind of engagement, so that the future becomes even brighter for him. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Peter. I'd like to get your take, Mr. Mojeed, on this. What exactly is early childhood development in the area of crisis management to the REACH network? Let's hear from you, Mr. Alabi.
Yeah, thank you very much. Am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you very well. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. From the perspective of REACH Network, REACH Network, by what it means, is reporters for early childhood development in crisis.
Yes.
And what we think of is that beyond just reporting general issues, the matter of children should be taken to the front burner. And how do you do that? Is by actually understanding why early childhood development is critical. We have been told that from age 0 to 5, that is when the brain of a child is formed. So for every child who is disadvantaged, either as a result of crisis, either as a result of war, flooding, communal clashes, banditry, or whatever, any form of crisis. You understand that we hardly get their matters relegated to the background. And what is important at this level is that when people discuss, we actually take the case of children serious. And that is what we feel that journalists should now come up with ways and manner to actually raise the bar in terms of how do we report about issues of children, of these children, especially those in crisis, to gain attention. And more importantly is the fact that when crisis happen, these are the major victims because they are dependent. They rely on helpers to survive. But you know, most times they are the first set of victims who will have to depend on people before they can escape the challenges. A mother will have to first of all be taken care of before a mother can breastfeed. So these are the kind of challenges that we have identified, and we feel that when reporting, reporters must be deliberate about raising these fundamental issues, whether it's about nutrition, whether it's about their welfare, whether it's about their health care, whether it's about their safety. These are very important issues. And you could see what happened in Orire, the last kidnap abduction that happened. A child, just because the condition was very terrible for that child in captivity, the child had to give up. And you could see those children who were filmed when released. You will notice that some of them look very, very unkempt. They look very, very emaciated. These are issues and very challenging things that we think we must consider as reporters in a way that people will be able to understand that this is a very, very significant issue that require attention. So when it goes to learning also, there are specific things that must be in place for them to actually achieve proper learning. These are things that we are calling attention that journalists within the Reach Network should be able to call attention to.
Thank you so much for those insights. Quite insightful there. I mean, there's reporting from a holistic perspective, there's reporting from particular angles, but we don't necessarily see the child's perspective, especially in light of recent event with the school kids kidnapped from Oyo. We've seen a lot of story and updates from their kidnapping to the rescue efforts and them being, reunited with their families. But I'd like to understand, you said, the development of a child goes from 0 to 5 years old, and a lot of these children are between that age. What are some of the things that we should be focusing on first? I'd like to get the perspective from the educational technical advisor. What are some things that we should be looking at when it comes to these children that have just been reunited? And when it comes to the Reach Network, I'd like to understand, how should this story be told to ensure that the main victims in this story, which are the children, are given the right spotlight and are given the right attention for some of these categories of things you've mentioned: nutrition, health, education, and everything else to be put in perspective. So I'd take your take, Mr. Peter, and then I'd hear from you, Mr. Alabi. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So like also Mr. Alabi had mentioned, one of the things that would be missing out, especially for these children, is the fact that when children are caught up in any form of crisis, be it kidnapping or whatever, you will agree with me that most of these children are denied quality feeding. And for that purpose, you would realize that the nutritional value that any child could have is missing out. And that forms part of what is very essential for a child to develop. Now, beyond just even the Orire crisis, if you look at, especially in other crisis contexts, especially in the Northeast or in the Northwest, you would realize that whatever displacement as a result of these factors, children get to miss out from all of these very critical elements. And we'll talk about, like, for example, malnutrition. You are talking about a child who is not being able to feed and get the necessary requirement for the brain to develop. You would experience that a lot of children are having stunted growth, where you see a child who is about 11 years looking like a child of 6 years. You see, these are effects of malnutrition. We are expected to see that a child should be able to grow according to the age that he is supposed to. So as a critical factor, children should be prioritized irrespective of what situation they might have found themselves. You would agree, like when Mojid also mentioned that, when children are caught up in crisis situation, those moments becomes naturally it's not their fault to find themselves in such a situation, because the child eventually grows to take decisions for himself and for the community in the future.
So I'd like to, sorry, not to cut you short, but I'd like to know, in regards to recent events with the children currently being released, in regards to the incident in Oyo, what should be the first line of action for the children? Should it be to be reunited with their guardians? Should it be medical attention? What exactly should be the first line of action to save the children?
All right, so thank you very much for that wonderful question. I think other provisions comes in. Are we talking about the feeding? That is very, very critical. You would observe that most of the children were quite malnourished, spending those number of days in the bush. They were quite malnourished, and then it is important for us to, in the next 30 days, to focus so much on their feeding, to ensure that they have nutritional food, so that their body, whatever that has been lost in terms of their development, in terms of their growth, in terms of their well-being.
Thank you so much for that. And I really love the last point that you brought it on, the psychosocial support, because, when we speak of reintegration, a lot of times we do not, focus on the importance of that. And I'll circle right back on that. Now, I'd like to hear from Mr. Mojid on the reach approach to this. How should journalists be covering this from a child-centered point of view?
Yeah, thank you very much. Like he has explained, the psychosocial aspects of their welfare is quite important.
Yes.
We will expect that we keep monitoring these kids. Why not? Why also observing their safety, also observing their integrity. Why not also stepping beyond the ethical band? It is very important for us to actually keep monitoring this, because you do not know. Within the next 1, 2, 3 years, we may see some of these children who may just be waking up in the middle of the night out of fear. Some of them may be nurturing some fear and unable to do certain things. These are quite important. I think the most important for journalists at this time is not just for sensationalism, not just to get headlines, not just to talk about numbers, but also to think about what becomes of these children at this time. It is important for us to have journalists who are going to be following up on them in terms of monitoring their welfare. Are they able to go to school? Are they able to learn in school? Who is taking after them? Where are they kept? These are things that, because coming from this kind of shock, some of them may not recover so quickly. Getting acclimatized to the normal system may take some time. So it is important that their care is giving proper monitoring. You said not all the time that you put everything to paper. Journalists are meant to also observe. Journalists are meant to follow up. Journalists are meant to ask critical questions. There are times that maybe some of them, out of probably fear, they may be they may be exhibiting some kind of attitude which their caregivers may not understand. But if we are actually following up on them, we will ask relevant questions and be able to bring out certain matters to the attention of relevant individuals or authorities. For instance, maybe they have appointment in clinics, their caregiver may not have the opportunity, but when journalists are deliberate about following up on them, it will be very, very easy for stakeholders to really understand why the care is important.
That's correct. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time. This is a developing conversation, so we'll definitely pick this up another time. Thank you so much again for discussing early childhood development in crisis management in the country. Thank you so much again. And that's our program today. From health awareness and expert conversations to global health development and community impacts, we've explored key issues shaping health across different spaces. Thank you so much for staying with us on Health Digest. As always, you need to stay blessed and not stressed. I'm Ukemere Tokwa. Bye-bye for now.
For 2 years, Precious Mbomboli took pills daily to prevent infection with HIV, the virus that causes AIDS. But the 21-year-old is among the first in Zambia to receive a new injectable prevention drug.
For 2 years, yes.
I changed the new injectable on 25th February because the pill was difficult for me, as I used to forget to take it. Sometimes I was not at home at the time of taking the medication, so the injection makes me feel better and confident.
The new drug is known as cabotegravir, long-acting. Each shot prevents infection for 6 months. Zambia is the first low or middle-income country to offer the drug to the public. Lina Mwango is technical director of the local non-profit CHEP Zambia.
Our target age group for this is adolescent girls and young women who are aged 16 to 24, as well as we're reaching out to their sexual partners.
Local representatives called connectors are helping roll out the program.
The connector is based in the community. We do community mobilization. We do community sensitizations. We go on, screen the girls that are eligible for dreams. Those that are eligible get to be enrolled.
The U.S. government has donated nearly 15,000 vials of the drug known as cabotegravir. That's enough to protect 2,000 Zambians against HIV for 1 year, the U.S. Embassy says. But experts say people who get the shot still need to take precautions.
People get the injection and then they think it's a silver bullet, in that then they can go out and sleep around. And really the message here is that that's not why this drug has been brought on board. To realize that this drug does not prevent pregnancies, it doesn't prevent other sexually transmitted infections.
About 1.4 million Zambians are living with HIV, with about 33,000 new infections per year. Experts hope the new drug can help bring those numbers down. Kathy Short, VOA News, Lusaka, Zambia.
Program that examines the threats, failures, and decisions shaping Nigeria's security on Africa Independent Television, AIT, the station that puts security first. I'm Ada Bisong Ononye. This week, Security Scoop examines the rising menace of jungle justice across Nigeria. At the center of this investigation is the death of Ibrahim Mbaya, a 25-year-old University of Jos graduate accused of stealing a phone. In this special report, I retrace his final hours, speak with suspect in police custody, the suspect's fathers, Ibrahim's family, and key authorities, and examine how an allegation became, again, a death sentence. Here is the report. On Sunday, July 25, 2026, Ibrahim Mbaya attended a social gathering with friends in Jos. When it became too late to return to his apartment, he spent the night in the room of a close friend known as Daniel Ringin, inside this compound behind City of David, along Ring Road, Jos. According to accounts obtained by AIT News, Ibrahim left the following morning. When Daniel woke up, he said his iPhone 12 and power bank were missing. He accused Ibrahim of taking them. No report was made to the police. Instead, Daniel and others began looking for Ibrahim. When they found him, they brought him back to the compound. What happened next was captured on mobile phones. The recordings appear to show Ibrahim surrounded by several young men. Emmanuel New Year is seen repeatedly striking him with a plank. While Big Ben and others appear to stamp on his stomach and head while striking him with hawk's whips. Ibrahim pleads in Hausa and English languages, but the assault continues. At one point, a bucket of water is placed beside a basket. Ibrahim is handed a tablespoon and ordered to empty the bucket.
Go pack everything.
He tries to comply. The water drains through the basket. The task cannot be completed. The recordings show the humiliation continuing. Ibrahim is later tied to a metal pole used for hanging clothes. They refuse. The assault, which began at about 11 in the morning, continues until sunset. AIT News interviewed 4 of the suspects, now in police custody. They were asked why no one intervened when Ibrahim became too weak to defend himself.
They were saying the beating was too much, they should take him out of the compound. So I was there when they brought him out and then back to the mountain where they kept him there for students to reduce. Then the Mangwana attacked him.
None provided a clear explanation for why the violence continued. They were also asked why the police were not called and why Ibrahim was not taken for medical treatment earlier.
To be honest, I don't know.
Daniel, Ibrahim's close friend and the owner of the room where he spent the night, is among those in custody.
I was telling him he should just, I know Sina him carry this phone. Because most time, anytime he does something, he will just keep denying it and he will be manipulating some other things. He now called me. He now tell me I know he no go carry this phone.
He maintains that Ibrahim took the missing phone. He also alleges that Ibrahim had previously taken other people's belongings without permission.
There was a time again in a compound around Ring Road where he went and stole. He carried his bag and went and he entered the compound in the night and went and carried clothes, allegedly.
But AIT News found no independent witness who said they saw Ibrahim take either the phone or the power bank. AIT News also found no evidence that the missing iPhone was recovered from Ibrahim, found in his possession, or even traced to him. The allegation of theft came from Daniel. Others joined the punishment that followed. AIT News also questioned the suspect about possible explanations for the attack. Why was Ibrahim wearing only his underwear inside the room? Was there an allegation that he had refused to join a cult? And did jealousy over his modeling career play any role?
This case was never about cultism, and there was nothing about cultism involved. Like, there was nothing about nobody sexual. Everything happened outside, so I don't know how they sexually harassed him.
AIT News found no independent evidence establishing cult recruitment or jealousy as the motive. Those suggestions remain unproven. The man at the center of the recordings was 25 years old. Ibrahim Mbaya, popularly known as IB, was a political science graduate of the University of Jos. He was also involved in modeling and was preparing for the next stage of his life. AIT News met his uncle, Nathaniel James, tending flowers in his garden. Nathaniel and his wife had cared for Ibrahim from his secondary school years until he graduated and moved into his own apartment 10 years later.
He's hardworking. He cannot steal. Nobody ever complained that Ibrahim did this or that. He minds his businesses and he runs his business. Even his clients never complain to us.
Nathaniel says there had never been an allegation of theft against Ibrahim during the 10 years he lived with the family.
If he wants something from you, he will ask. Ibrahim will never take your things without any permission. He's skillful and very, very jovial. He hardly fights people.
He also says he saw little reason for Ibrahim to steal the missing iPhone 12 because, in his assessment, Ibrahim already owned a better phone.
As I'm talking to you, his phone is missing there. His own phone that is bigger than the one that people are talking about.
What phone is he using?
iPhone Pro 13, I think. So, I am talking to the police about it. I want to have that phone. If he will be killed because of iPhone 12, then somebody should be telling me something about his own phone that is in their hands. Nobody's talking about it.
But Daniel's broader allegation that Ibrahim had a history of taking other people's belongings is not supported by the independent accounts obtained by AIT News.
When you see IB, you see creativity. IB is the kind of person that went in the modeling industry. When you see IB, his kind of style is different, and he's someone that is being supportive. Anything that if you call IB today that please I have a shoe today, IB will be there. Don't even give him anything. His support is there. When they say someone is a thief, the moment they tell you that this person is a thief, you will know. Because I've never heard of such from anybody that knows IB that I know. Nobody has ever complained. IB is someone that have a dream, and I don't think a thief will always have a dream.
I've known IB for over 3 years now. That was before he graduated from school. I was at 2023. That was when I met him. I don't know IB to be a thief because before this whole incident of him going to Ring Road, IB had his own apartment. He had issues with rent and everything, and then the landlord refused to take part payment. So they had to evict him from his place. He brought his things to my house. before he came and stayed with me. After he brought his things, in our workplace, I work as an accountant on the cashier table. I gave IB my office key, and IB was sleeping there for some time. I was sleeping in the office where I used to keep everything about the company is there, including money and everything. And I've never for one day had any issue with him that he would say he wanted this, he had to use from the money, he would replace me.
The landlord's brother manages the property as caretaker. He says New Year was admitted into the compound after his father was contacted and his status as a University of Jos student was confirmed. The caretaker says most residents were away when the assault took place.
Shock, I was devastated and I was not comfortable. I rushed to the compound to see what transpired. Already it has happened. So from there, I discovered that he has passed away, and I rushed to the police station to report the issue precisely. And the police were making some various investigations. They went to the house and even asked that we should bring all the tenants that are occupying in the compound. So we brought them to the Nasarawa police station. From there, we are still cooperating. Investigation is still going on. And now presently we are in CID and still cooperating. I still brought the tenants alongside so that investigation will continue, so that at least justice will be served to the deceased person.
As information about the attack spread, the community leader received an anonymous call. He later led AIT News along the route behind the compound. The path ends at a hill beside a pool of dirty water. I'm standing at the hillside in Ukadum community where Ibrahim Mbaya was allegedly taken after the assault on day 3 of our investigation. This remote location has emerged as a critical part of the timeline. We are now seeking to establish who brought him here, why he was moved from the compound, how long he remained at this location, and what happened before he was eventually taken to the hospital.
An elderly woman rushed to my house and told me she saw some group of youth going to the hill with a boy, which she's not comfortable with the situation. I immediately ran out and come to the hill where we are standing now. At exactly this point, I saw a boy lying down there, very, very unconscious. He was alone on this mountain here, so I quickly tried to rush down to see what is happening. I took this road, and I was going, I saw about 5 youths, they were a distance from me, going down. I tried to rush to get them, but they quickly went down. So immediately when I went down, I now identify one of the youth in the area by name Ima. I now asked him, Ima, what is the problem? What is happening? I saw somebody lying down on the mountain there unconscious. Please go and bring him down. We need to take him to the hospital. Bring him down immediately. That's how he was brought down from the mountain, and I said he should be rushed to the hospital immediately. So the next day, being Monday, I was called in the morning that he couldn't make it.
11 days after Ibrahim's death, another video emerged. It shows him being taken towards the same location. At the beginning of the recording, Ibrahim is still able to walk. His steps are slow and unsteady. Later, he is carried by his hands and legs. A suspect who is still being sought by police appears to record a commentary as the group moves towards the hill. In the recording, he appears to suggest that there will be no consequences.
Now we are taking him to the hill. Hey, Kagan leader, ba? Now we are taking him to the hill. He has to go and explain some things because we are the federal government, we are the state government, and we are the legislation. Okay, everything we are.
Ibrahim was eventually taken to the Jos University Teaching Hospital. AIT News met the chairman of the hospital's medical advisory committee. His account provides details of Ibrahim's condition when he arrived and the medical response that followed.
He was brought in dead. That's what, yes. So we have 2 registers, patients that died here, meaning they came in alive and they died in the hospital. Then there are corpses of people who have died. So our doctors examined him. At the point of that examination, he was already dead.
As the police investigation continued, more suspects were taken into custody. Yusuf Christopher Beskeni became the 5th suspect arrested in connection with the case. At a police briefing, he admitted posting a disparaging message about Ibrahim on WhatsApp on the day he died.
Yes, on WhatsApp, I posted that.
You posted what?
That only you thief, only you gay, only you model.
Do you have any substance to prove that?
No, just allegations.
4 suspects interviewed by AIT News now express regret.
My action leads to IB's death, and I'm sorry. I started everything. It shouldn't be like Emmanuel New Year. They should learn from my story. I made a great mistake, and I'm sorry.
When they see something, they should say something. They should not allow our mistakes to repeat itself again.
Presently, I'm filled with regrets and guilt because, to be honest, if I was in control of everything all my life, I wouldn't have wished for this thing to happen, not even for my friend or anybody. So even when it happened, I couldn't sleep throughout the night. I felt like, bro, because my brother told me that before he died, he was at home. He told him that he should forgive me, I should forgive him. But at that moment, I was not feeling like, bro, now me supposed for like you should forgive me. I was really down, and up to date, I still can't believe that even when I know he's gone, I feel, yes, he's gone because of me.
They urged Nigerians to reject jungle justice. The expressions of remorse came after Ibrahim's death.
I will advise Nigerians, youth, in case you see any incident like this, you should always go to the police and report the case.
When they see something, they should say something. They should not allow our mistakes to repeat itself again.
The fathers of some of the suspects also spoke to AIT News. They declined to appear on camera, but allowed their voices to be recorded. One is the father of 2 brothers linked to the assault. The other is Emmanuel's father. Both say their sons were not raised in violent homes.
What I want is, may God touch the heart of the family of Ibrahim and Nigerians to have mercy and forgive what has happened. Because as a father, I will not be happy if my child is involved in this kind of work. So may God give them the heart.
If the parents will get to you, I want to plead. I'm trying my best to see how I can reach to the parents, to tell them that this is not from us. But it's just, we don't know, we cannot say, even if I say it's the work of the devil, yes. Because I brought them in a Christian way. And something like this, to me, in life, I thought it will never happen in my house.
Several people linked to the case are students of the University of Jos. The Vice Chancellor, Professor Tanko Ishaya, says the university regularly campaigns against cultism, violence, and other social vices. He also explains the disciplinary consequences for students found responsible for serious misconduct.
So what we have done as far as the university is to write the police to request, for information, and they have responded. We are waiting for the conclusion of the investigation from the police, and of course, as soon as we've been informed of the investigation, then the university will now be able to take the decision.
The killing has also raised questions for the Plateau State government. AIT News asked the Commissioner for Information and Communication, Honorable Joyce Lawyer, Ramnap what the government is doing to support the investigation, secure justice for Ibrahim, and prevent similar attacks. She was also asked what action the government will take beyond public condemnation, particularly after a fleeing suspect was heard claiming that there would be no consequences.
I will not want to preempt the outcome of the investigation or the statement, the person behind the statement, because in the course of the investigation, the person who made that statement would definitely be apprehended too. For us at the government, as a state government, what we have been able to do at the moment was to reach out first of all to the immediate community here in Jos, where Ibrahim Baya comes from, under the leadership of retired Justice of the Federal High Court, Justice Auta, who is the head of the Bura community.
But Ibrahim's death is not an isolated case. Over 10 months, AIT News reviewed videos, reports, and social media posts relating to mob violence across Nigeria. After obvious duplicates were removed, more than 200 separate suspected incidents were identified. These are not official crime statistics. They represent incidents identified during this investigation, and the actual number may be higher. The recordings reviewed by AIT News show people accused of theft, kidnapping, witchcraft, and other offenses being stripped, beaten, dragged, burned, or killed. In many cases, people stand close enough to record the victims' faces and pleas. Few appear to be seeking emergency assistance. On June 21, 2026, a 34-year-old woman, Kairi Usman Aliu, was lynched and set ablaze by a mob in Maraban Jos, Kaduna State, after children raised an allegation accusing her of being a child thief. The allegation against her was not established in court. A crowd later stormed the police station, seized her, and set her on fire. Her killing was recorded and circulated far beyond the community where she died. The imagery of mob attacks has also entered online entertainment. Some content creators reenact accusations, beatings, and victims' pleas, apparently seeking views and engagement. Days after Ibrahim's death, another crowd gathered around a man accused of kidnapping in Port Harcourt. This time, an elite police team intervened before the crowd could carry out its own punishment. The suspect was taken lawfully into custody. The allegation was left for investigators and the courts. This intervention demonstrated that mob violence can be stopped when authorities act in time. AIT News also presented the findings of this investigation to the Inspector General of Police, Olatunji Disu. He was asked whether persistent mob violence points to weaknesses in community policing. AIT News also asked how Ibrahim could be assaulted for hours inside a residential community without effective intervention, and he was asked about the impact of repeated mob killings on Nigeria's international image.
We have a lot of people coming into the country, foreigners coming into the country daily, traveling everywhere in the country. It's going to be shock of culture to them to see jungle justice in action, mob action in action. Everybody should know that the whole world are watching us, watching what we do in Nigeria. Nigeria is a big nation in the Committee of Nations, and we should be seen to be doing everything right.
The Inspector General says fatal mob attacks must be treated as homicide investigations. He also warns that officers who fail to intervene may face disciplinary action.
Under Section 516 of the Criminal Code Act, anybody who plans, incites, or encourages the mob, you support them, you give them all the support, even without laying a hand on the victim, is criminally liable. And this carries 14 years imprisonment. I have directed all commissioners of police across the 36 states of Nigeria and the FCT to treat every case of mob action as homicide, and they should investigate it like that. And even police officers or security officers who fail to intervene or look away when a crowd gathers, interfere, or fail to do what is necessary, disciplinary action will be taken against the person. Protecting life is not an optional thing for any officer.
Back in Nathaniel's James Garden, Ibrahim's family continues to wait for justice. After the interview, Nathaniel offers us a small plant arranged in a vase with sand and stones. He says it is meant to calm the nerves. It is a living plant, one that can continue to grow. Ibrahim has since been buried in his hometown in Howell, local government area of Borno State. But for his family, the burial has not brought the case to an end. They are still waiting to know whether everyone involved in his death will be identified and brought before the law. Ibrahim Mbaya attended a gathering with people he regarded as friends. He spent the night because it was too late to return home. By the following morning, a phone was missing. One close friend accused him of taking it. The accusation was not reported to the police. Instead, Ibrahim was found, brought back to the compound, and subjected to violence for almost 8 hours. He pleaded. He offered money. He became too weak to walk. He was carried to a hill and left beside a dirty pool of water. The missing phone has not been shown to have been recovered from him. Ibrahim was accused. He was never tried. He was never convicted. IGP Disu now says jungle justice is murder. The question is whether that position will translate into action strong enough to protect the next person accused and prevent another allegation from becoming a death sentence. I'm standing inside the compound where 25-year-old Ibrahim I.B. Mbaya spent the final hours of his life. The videos that shocked Nigeria were recorded here. They show Ibrahim being assaulted after he was accused of stealing an iPhone. He was later taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. This compound has 17 tenants. According to accounts gathered during our reporting, only one tenant was present during the assault. She reportedly pleaded for Ibrahim to be spared, but was threatened and forced to leave. Her account raises critical questions about who was present, who tried to stop the assault, and whether Ibrahim's life could have been saved. Ada Ononye. I feel choose.
Nineteen-year-old Hussein Abdurrahman comes to this butcher shop every day to buy 8 to 10 kilograms of meat for Mogadishu's stray animals.
He is such a kind person. It's wonderful to show compassion and kindness to those who cannot afford it. He deserves support for this initiative.
Nearly 70% of Somalis live in poverty, making it challenging for many to afford food for their families, let alone for their pets. So Abdurrahman is filling that gap.
My goal is simple, to spread love and kindness throughout society. It's not just about animals, it's about reaching every corner of our community, from humans to animals, with compassion.
There are no official numbers for the stray animals roaming the streets of Mogadishu, but they are part of the urban scenery. Feeding the animals demand both time and money. Abdurrahman, who works at a commodity shop, dedicates a significant portion of his modest income to this cause. He learned his compassion from his grandfather, who also fed stray animals.
When you spend your money on good things, surely you will get back more, and your good deeds are already recorded by the angels.
Each day, Abdurrahman feeds 20 dogs and 30 cats along with some birds. The animals recognize him and rush to him. And every day, he has a crowd of human admirers.
If all Somalis were like him, we would live in a better country. I encourage everyone in the neighborhood and in Somalia in general to support people like Abdurrahman because they spread love and kindness.
Somalia lacks an effective animal organization dedicated to the needs of stray animals, and the country lacks robust policies to protect them. Abdurrahman, a proud dad to 3 cats, aims to address this issue by creating an organization to support stray animals and extend his efforts nationwide. Jamal Ahmed Usman, VOA News, Mogadishu, Somalia.
When you think of African cities, you usually imagine the momentum, the hustle, and the traffic. But here in Lilongwe, there's a place that is doing the exact opposite, with green spaces and slowing down, and a community based in well-being. But first, here's what's coming up in the show. She conquered global stages before the age of 16. Now South African contortionist Lunga Buthelezi is continuing to push the limits of what's possible. We see how this father and son duo are taking their leather designs far beyond Kenya's borders. And in Addis Ababa, one skateboarder is showing us a side of the city most tourists never see. I'm Miss Grande and you're watching Afrimax. First up, we're heading to Lagos, where 4-time Guinness World Record holder Adituwache Adele is building Africa's first AI factory.
Here in Ijora Badia, one of Lagos' most waterlogged slum communities, art isn't just a subject in class, it is survival. And behind me are children learning inside a school built on water. Each painting they hold tells a story, not of what they've lost, but of what they are becoming. In a place where flood water and dirt define the landscape, these kids are redefining what is possible, turning trash into color and paint into purpose. Leading this change is one man, Adituwache Adele. He's an artist, a teacher, and guess what? A 4-time Guinness World Record holder. He's painted the biggest artwork ever, got thousands of kids to read and wash their hands at the same time, and even created Nigeria's biggest stamp. For him, art isn't just about painting, it's about people, community, and change.
It's a free school, so they don't pay for education. So I encourage them, I move them, I graduate them towards abstract arts, which comes out looking very beautiful. And by the time they are done with one artwork, it's something we help them, we frame it, we sell it, and we bring in the funds to continue what they do in this space there. And that's how we've been able to sustain what we do.
Before I joined the Slowmat, I didn't know I could draw or make a collage like this. But now, I can do it and teach it kids. I'm very happy.
Adituwache's vision didn't stop at collage. When classrooms were scarce, he and the community turned waste into walls, building a school from thousands of recycled plastic bottles. Each bottle is packed tight and placed inside wired iron to become a strong, reusable brick. Layer by layer, the walls rise, shaping not just a classroom, but a space where imagination and learning come alive.
For the top layer, what we use majorly is metal cage and wire gross.
Okay.
The wire run XO, XO, XO. After we name X and O, what we now do with it, we now use just ropes, the normal word ropes. So tie each one of it actually. So we tie it together so that the roofing will be insulated, one, and it's been insulated also means that it helps to beautify the if you come here at night, what you see is this will be littered.
Oh,
yeah, it's been littered. So when you are here evening time, it's something that just amazes you.
You also have the animation studio.
Yes.
Now you're moving from paint to pixel, right? And your growth is very, very obvious. Why animation now?
So there was an issue that happened when we started this whole animation production, when we wanted to do the Nigerian history in 2014 when it was a centenary celebration. And we wanted to put together 50 3D animators here in Lagos. We made call for entries multiple times and we could not get cogent, good animators to come to our studio to join the production.
From paint to pixels, the dream keeps growing. With the animation hub, Adetu Ashe is shaping the new generation of storytellers, aiming to bring 1 million Nigerian children into the world of digital creativity.
We decided to break the 12 principles of animation into a realistic, achievable, smart goal where young people can work remotely, learn animation and how to use their mobile phone to create sequence, and as an animation hub where people can join the creative process from their remote location, tune in, and they make a sequence.
So in our own case, we have the idea of Nigerian Story Mind. So we put it into ChatGPT to give us a script of all the events and happening from a certain year down to the current year. So once we have that script, we now take it to another AI tool, that is Sora, to generate images of these particular events. Now from Sora, we take it into Hylio or Perplexity or any other area that generates image to video. So after we've generated all these images and videos, we now add it up in CapCut. That's make a whole full movie.
We've seen a lot of AI apps and softwares, across the websites. What are you bringing that is different from the ones that we already have?
So the major problem we've seen is people understanding how to write the right prompts, how to be able to generate the right characters, how to create continuity. Language models are being biased. You train your models. It's our call to train these models in our own language, and that's what we're bringing in. That's why we're bringing out the first AI factory in Africa itself, and this is going to have a 1,000 megawatts where we'll now start training multiple models, training our own language models, training them on how we look, we speak, we dress, what our culture is.
Adetu Ashe's dream keeps multiplying in color, in courage, and in hope. Now he is reaching for the 5th Guinness World Record, a milestone that could inspire 1 million more dreams.
Now comes the part I've been quietly dreading. Apparently, slowing down also involves stretching. Kasama Samba is truly special. I'm joining Amber, the co-founder and resident yogi, to help me limber up. So why is movement such an important part of well-being?
As humans, we are complex beings. We are multidimensional and multi-layered. So our soul, our body, and our mind need to come together. Movement helps us really to ground in our body, and especially when we're doing yoga on the grass, grounded in a space of nature.
Why do more people want to seek out this experience, considering what's going on in the world?
People all over the world are getting to a place where life feels overwhelming. Most news are really negative. And so we're overwhelmed and stressed in our work as well. We work a lot with AI, with technology, so we're really disconnected. And what movement, nature, and for example, yoga brings us to is really ourselves, being connected again to ourselves and our true roots.
Thank you, B. I have stretched, and honestly, that has humbled me, which I know that never happens often. Balance takes many forms, and for South African contortionists, Lunga Buthelezi, it starts with movement.
I get my energy from the people.
Meet contortionist Lunga Buthelezi.
When they're scared or they scream or they're excited, I get excited. It's like a tease for me, like I become a naughty kid.
In Cape Town, under the Royal Countess Ngara Big Tub, Lunga contorts herself into some of the most incredible poses.
This is a place where one becomes themselves, accepting your inner sexiness.
Her journey started in a township.
When I was at school, I was that kid where I would stop the teacher and like, oh, look what I can do. I'll do a split. Look what I can do. I'll put my leg behind my neck. And my brother, he just came up with this idea one day, like during lunchtime, get a bunch of kids surrounding me. And then I would just bend myself. And then he would have like, you know, something like, you need to put some coins and. But I think people just loved it.
You won't believe what happened next.
There was a guy from America named Cedric Walker. So he saw us busking at the waterfront and he was like, okay, I want you guys to, you know, be part of my show, because it was like these two little kids doing such an amazing act. So from the age of 9 until I turned 16, I was in America.
Her next move took her across the world.
Right after I turned 16, I went to Europe. I think it was Switzerland. We did a festival there, the Circus Princess, all female artists from around the world come in one festival. And I won and I was crowned Princess of all circuses for that year. So basically like representing South Africa, because I was always like the only South African and in most cases the only African.
But the bedazzle of her childhood came with a price.
The part that I felt was missing was the childhood part. I did homeschool from grade 5 and never experienced the high school life, never experienced all of these other things. But then I had friends that wished they could have my life.
For Lunga, contortionism is more than a way to pay the bills.
So without doing anything flexible, it feels like something is missing. It's more than just bending. It's spiritual. It's something that heals me. It is me. So if I neglect it, then my body is like, hi, we're missing something. Literally what other people would feel pain doing is what heals me.
And beyond the stage, she contorts herself into motherhood. With 3 kids, it's a juggling act.
With my daughter, I was already bending myself full on. When she was a month old, I just continued on. Same thing with my son.
And reclaiming your body after childbirth is every woman's journey.
The older you get, your body is different. And we just need to find different ways on how to take care of it. And I've been through a situation where I was super skinny. I've been through a situation where I was super big. So I had to find where it is good for me, where I'm not too skinny and I'm not too fat, but I'm healthy, proper, size.
Performers from all around the world unite on this stage.
The strength you see and beauty at once. And the costumes of the characters that walk around there, you will never be disappointed.
As the Royal Countess Ngara prepares to move on, Lunga's journey continues.
I want to open a school in South Africa. I know a lot of kids, especially in the townships, you would see a very flexible child. But then because there's no school and there's no one there to help them, then it doesn't happen. And I was very fortunate.
From Katlehong to the global stage, she's rewritten the narrative around her body, turning curiosity into respect and shock into something far more lasting.
Healthy mind and healthy body. A big part of that is what we consume. So I'm standing in a pescatarian, vegetarian kitchen, and the question really is, why?
Myself, I eat meat, and my partner here, she doesn't. She's vegetarian, actually vegan. So as a nice compromise, I thought of trying to minimize eating meat, and we came up with this pescatarian restaurant. So Casa Masamba was born. Casa, as you know, is home in Italian, and Masamba, which also is my name, is like vegetable. So we're very much happy to promote vegetables and healthy living and eating.
So we do have a small permaculture garden, which is at the back of our house. And it's very small, but very efficient. Permaculture means that everything interacts, everything is connected. So we do have our fresh vegetables from there and a lot of herbs, roots, turmeric and ginger, which we incorporate a lot into our food and our drinks. We compost everything so that we have nutrients for our food and our vegetables, and our pond also contributes to that. So everything is interlinked, which is very sustainable.
So in Malawi, most diets consist of meat, but walking into a place like this where it's vegetarian and pescatarian, what is your first reaction when people look at the menu and are a bit surprised?
We do feel, I think, as you age, it's always good to have a healthier lifestyle. The right word here is to
balance.
Balance, yes.
Vegetables can be considered maybe as boring, but actually there's so much to it. And there's so many ingredients that we're adding on to things such as quinoa, which has like 9 amino acids. So it's really a good substitute for protein from animals. So it's really healthy, nutritious, and helps our well-being. And please enjoy our food.
Oh, I shall. From life-changing to life-changed. In Nairobi, Kevin Abova and his father have taken a trade and turned it into a leather business that is opening doors across the African continent.
In Nairobi, some of the best designs start on the roadside, fixing what people throw away and turning it into something new.
With the leathers, one of the main colors that we usually work with is green. When we lost our mom, I went to live with my grandma back in the village. Seeing the green maize, green trees and everything, grass and all that, I was really inspired by the color green. That's why especially every statement piece we produce, we usually do it in green.
But knowing how to make something and turning it into a brand are two different things.
Some of the challenges was capital. Leather as a business, it's capital intensive. Leather as a material is very expensive. Also the machinery that is involved is very expensive, and also the hardwares and the tools. The decision to do school shoes and shoe repair was because that was the available market at that time and moment, and also the little savings we had was able to fund the kind of business at that time and moment.
The leather work is more hard. The trick is in the marketing.
We started in 2020 as a shoe repair business, and later in 2021 transitioned into bag making. I work with my father, and we do leather bags and accessories. We used to do private labeling for brands, then officially started now making bags for our brand in 2023. As a young creative who was a background in craft, we made a lot of bags. So in 2023 we decided to now launch the brand Kisero, and Kisero comes from our vernacular, which means hides and skins.
Design here starts long before the fast cut. It starts with everyday life. Who will wear it? Where will they take it? What does it need to carry?
The design process starts with me. I usually come up with inspirations. For you to design bags, you usually have to envision the person who's carrying that bag, the things that they'll be doing from day to day. Are they going to work? If they're going to work, then you need to consider the bag having a laptop. After the inspirations, a sketch. Then from the sketch, my dad usually now does the pattern so that we get the measurement and now the shape of the bag. And then now we discuss down through the materials. So we know which leather, which color of the leather, which lining is going to be used. And then the color of the hardware. And then now we do the first prototype, which now usually gives us the picture of like how the final product will look like. Now in the final production, now we make sure like all the mistakes that
could appear is all done in the prototypes. The leathers we work with are actually vegetable leather. We don't work with chrome tan leather because of the environmental impact it has.
What started small is now taking shape piece by piece.
In 2024, I joined a program by the British Council called Creative DNA, and that shaped my design language. Also joined another program by the Italian agency. It's called E for Impact. I was commissioned to do a design project with a fashion school in Italy called Colliette School of Fashion. We created a statement piece called Charm statement piece. When we sent the bag to Italy, it emerges one of the best bags in the design exchange, and now I was asked to fly to Italy to go and showcase the bag.
And what started as a father and son operation has slowly grown into a team.
From the craft side, my dad works with a team of 4. Then from the business side, I work with a team of 3.
But the real foundation of Kistero is not just leather. It's what's been passed down.
One of the greatest honor I've ever got in my life is work with my dad. I've seen him work my whole life. Our first shoe repair workshop was just attached to our house, and I used to see how creative and how good he was with his hands. The techniques he used to use, and I was like, these are very unique techniques, and they should not just be wasted on average designs. Having been to Europe and showcased this work is one of my greatest achievements as a young person.
And for Kevin, building the business alongside his father is more than work. It's a partnership and a relationship he continues to learn and grow through.
Working with my son has not been hard. He got his fees here, and after he was done with school, we joined forces and ventured in the leather business.
Yes, I've known him for the past 28 years as a father, but that's on the side. From a business standpoint, then you need to understand this is a business partner, and I need to create a whole new relationship where we need enough to synchronize. That has been a whole new beginning, I'll say.
What started on the roadside is still growing, but now it carries a name, a craft, and a direction of its own.
And finally, we're heading to Addis Ababa, where one skateboarder is telling us the best way to get through the city is through speed.
Everyone, my name is Hosna Jala. I am also a skater, born and raised in Addis. And now I would like to take you to a tour of Addis. Come skate with me, please.
Addis Ababa is Ethiopia's largest city. The city's name means new flower in Amharic. It's a buzzing metropolis with a population of over 5 million people. At an altitude of 2,335 meters above sea level, Addis is Africa's highest capital city. Nestled amidst rolling hills, it's the perfect place for young daredevils like Sosina Chala, the founder of Ethiopia Girl Skaters.
Since I'm born and raised in here, most of my childhood stories and memories are here. I love it for that. And career-wise, to be honest, since I started skateboarding in the city, a lot of skaters and people who are really interested in this kind of rebellious action and actually this kind of unique kind of activity, they are here.
Renowned for its diverse cuisine, fashion scene, captivating music, and rich historical heritage, Addis Ababa blends old and new. Let's explore one of its most iconic highlights on the first stop of our city tour.
And behind me, there is a monument of honoring a Battle of Adwa, where Ethiopian patriots fought against Italy in 1896.
The Adwa monument in the old city center commemorates Ethiopia's victory over Italian forces in 1896. This solidified Ethiopia's independence and made it one of only 2 African nations to never experience colonization. For 26-year-old Sosina, it's a beacon of hope and inspiration for those fighting for justice and equality.
All of our ancestors are a rebellious one and heroes. So that is why we're strong enough to say, oh, we're Ethiopians, or we're we've never been colonized, or most of the hero stories.
For Sosina, skating and cruising through Addis Ababa's streets is an exhilarating experience. not just for the thrill of skating, but also because of the monuments that reflect the city's rich history and dynamic present. Few have more significance to Cecina than the Holy Trinity Cathedral.
The church is actually on renovation now, but most Sundays you will find me here worshiping. So let's take a look.
The church is known as Kidist Selassie in Amharic. Emperor Haile Selassie's remains were buried here in the year 2000. More than 1,500 people can comfortably sit inside the church.
It's a place where you will learn humanity. Addis Ababa is the city where you can find a young soul, a very young and old soul, where it's combined, gives really beautiful lights to everyone.
In recent years, Addis Ababa has experienced rapid urbanization and technological advances, making it one of Africa's fastest growing cities. In a country with over 75 different ethnic groups, there's a lot to see.
You really don't have to go out of all of the part of the country. You will find a lot of things just in here, just because all of the people from out of Addis, they come here and then they kind of have their own culture, build whatever they want to, and then let's say you want to eat food specifically with the specific culture, and you can find that.
The African Union is headquartered here, and business people, diplomats and activists all meet in Addis Ababa.
Having all the Africans and learning all the cultures throughout all Africa, and then all Africans come here to do whatever they wanted to change Africa. I mean, this is the center of Africa.
For Cecina, Addis is more than just a city. It's home. It's the place that nurtured her rebellious spirit and encouraged her to challenge societal norms.
That's the place where you come and see all the mixed things, beautiful and ugly, and combined. It's kind of really nice.
Addis Ababa is a place where you can defy the odds, shatter the status quo, and embrace life to the fullest.
I've eaten food that contains no meat and no regrets, so to speak. And I've stretched muscles I don't know I had. So catch us on our socials and share your wellness journey with us. Until next time, take care of yourself.
Welcome to Gender Agenda. My name is Adora Sydney Jack. Now, have you ever wondered what influences the voting pattern or the reason why voters vote exactly the way they do? Right? Of course, women don't vote women, as some say, or pundits argue. Well, today we are proud to debut here on Gender Agenda the Voters Preference Survey VPS series by Invictus Africa, just presented to the Nigerian public. Now, the VPS is Nigeria's first national survey of voter attitudes, past voting behavior, and future voting intentions towards women, youth, and persons with disability, the PWDs, ahead of the 2027 general election, drawing on the views of over 11,196 eligible voters across Nigeria. The VPS series challenges long-held assumptions about women, about youth, about PWDs, as political leaders uncovers the barriers limiting their political representation and provides new evidence to inform political campaigns, advocacy, policymaking, and conversations about inclusive democracy in our dear country, Nigeria. Now, whether you are a policymaker, a donor, a political actor, a civil society organization, a journalist, an engaged citizen, this report provides evidence to perhaps better understand the opportunities and barriers shaping inclusive political representation. And I would need to run us through this finding is Buki Shonibare, the founder of Invictus Africa, an Ashoka Fellow, a Ford Global Fellow, a Mandela Washington Fellow, and a Schwartz Reisman Institute Graduate Fellow, amongst others. But before we take her on through this, we will be right back, so stay with us. Oh, Yemi. It's not her profile that is showing. Tell Yemi that it's not her profile that is showing. Okay, it's coming up. Okay. Book it. No, this way. So we stand in the middle here. When I say come, you walk to me, then we'll have a banter. Yeah, we are standing throughout. This one. I have. In the beginning. Okay. he could be running for president.
Run first.
I'm behind you. All right, thank you for staying with us. And definitely, my name is Adora, City Director has asked me to say that again. Yes, you're welcome. So now here comes Invictus Africa. Buki, it's great to have you. So we're going to do a lot of standing today, but it's great because we're going to be taking place with this video. Well, good evening. It's great to have you.
Thank you for
now the VPS series. First of all, maybe I'll start with what inspired it.
I mean, we always ask the questions, why are Nigerians not voting for women? And then by extension, we ask, why are they not voting for other politically underrepresented groups like young people and persons with disabilities? Young people, despite the Not Too Young to Run bill that was passed, that's now an act in 2018, as well as the Disability Inclusion Act that we have. And we usually have these candidates on the ballot, but the question is, why are they not being voted in? Because statistics show that there is underrepresentation of this group. So we deemed it necessary to ask voters.
To ask the question.
Why?
So let's take the first, introduction. Of course, this is the, let's say, would Nigerians vote for women, youth, and persons with disability? So, and this is what it looks like when you open the first page of the survey. Next page. Now, let's also look at the next page, if I can get the next page, so that you can speak directly to that. Now, speak to us about the gap, the approach, and the methodology.
So if we can go to
the next slide, please. Thank you. So, how did you get to the methodology?
So again, we the gap that I've mentioned before, but we also saw that in relation to women, that in the 2023 elections, that despite the fact that women make up, more than half of the population, we have young people of 18 to 34, and we have over 35 million PWDs. Why are they not being represented? So if we go to the next slide, we will see how in the 2023 election, only 10.1% of all of the candidates that won were women, despite the fact that 1,553 women contested, only 72 won. That's just a 4.3% success rate. Young people in the 2023 election, over 4,300 of them contested. Only 402 won, and that's a 9.1% success rate. But when you come to persons with disabilities, from 2019 to 2025, only 4 persons with disabilities have won within this period. That is just a 3.4 success rate. So going to the next slide, this sort of gave us an idea that in the 2023 election, that there is a question that we needed to ask. We wanted to ask voters, what do they really think about these voters, not just appearing on the ballot, but also being voted in? These candidates cannot win elections if voters do not vote for them. So if you go to the next slide, I will then begin to show some of the methodology that we use. So the Voters' Preference Survey, like you have rightly said, is the first nationally representative study. What that means is that we covered 102 out of the 109 senatorial districts in Nigeria. We wanted to ask voters at the urban area, the rural area, male, female. So go to the next slide. We needed evidence to show what voters are saying. We sampled 12,444 eligible voters. After we cleaned the data, go to the next slide, we were able to come up with 11,196. Like I said, we covered 102 out of the 109 senatorial districts. We used a multi-stage stratified cluster sampling strategy. That way we are able to reach every ward as much as possible. We had a national spread, like I said, including the 6 FCT area councils. Go to the next slide. And then we did survey weighting as well, using the INEC data. This is how we analyze the data. We used a disaggregation analysis so that we could disaggregate across gender, age group, education level, because people's education level often also influence their voter choices. People even from certain religion prefer people from certain religion. We wanted to have data to show for that. And then you will also see geopolitical zone, urban, rural. But we then use latent class analysis for us to find some patterns in the data. Go to the next slide. And then we use predictive modeling as well. This is our coverage. You will notice that we covered all of the 6 geopolitical zones.
I can see you have like
yes,
the urban.
exactly, urban, rural.
Yeah.
And then you see that we cover 59.9% of male and 40% of female. You will see the age distribution. We had young people of 52% and middle age of 33.2. Elderly were not left out, 13.2, yes. Because when you see pictures of voters who come out, the elderly are also there. Even people 70 plus were also, and then you see the disability status, at least 4.8 people with disabilities were represented. So if you go to the next slide, we then begin to show you some of the decision-making patterns. And then, so go to the next slide, and then I will see first, what voters are saying is that when candidates are coming to them, this is how they source for their political information. I see. Nigerian voters are saying that a combination of digital and traditional media is what works. So if you concentrate your campaign on just digital media, you are not going to reach your voters.
Yes.
But they are saying that yes, digital media, but also use traditional media. Because there are voters who use transistor radio and listen to Ray Power. There are voters who only have local TV stations and only watch AIT. Well, AIT is international.
Or even LTV.
But I mean, voters are saying that don't just focus on digital media. But voters are also saying that reach us through party channels and community networks.
I see.
You see where if you focus on only digital and social media, this is only 26.7%, whereas you could reach much more. And then there is now, those who are saying simultaneous. So if you go to the next slide, you will notice in that earlier slide, still stay here, that only 1 in 4 Nigerians can be reached through social media alone. Now we ask Nigerians, are you influenced by someone when you are deciding on who to vote for? 42.2% of Nigerians say that somebody influenced them or an external factor influenced their choice of candidature. So here we now asked, who influenced you? They said party leaders. They are the most people who influence them. So it means that if you are campaigning for the 2027 election, especially women, young people and persons with disabilities, party leader endorsement is actually quite important for the voters to take you serious. Followed by the media. People are saying that when we watch you, so if you're a candidate, 18 points, I mean, when you multiply this in relation to millions of voters, this is a lot. They are saying that the media, we watch TV, we watch radio, and then when we do that, when we watch you there, we can listen to your policies, your plan, your agenda, your manifesto, and you can influence them. But see, religious leaders are not left out. When we disaggregated this data, we noticed that more voters in the north are influenced by religious leaders. And then you see that the family is not left out.
Family, 15.4.
15.4.
That's a huge number.
What voters are saying is that your family should not come out and denounce you. If you cannot convince your family members that you are a good candidate, then you cannot convince Nigerian voters. So it means your family should also mobilize other people. Your family should also come out to say, we know this person. But you see, they're also friends and trusted people, party members, traditional leaders. Go to the next slide. And then even civil society organizations. Then we then ask, you will see the spread, across how people are influenced. You see media, that more female are influenced by the media. You see party leaders, you see that more male are influenced by party leaders. You come here and you see that 20.5, people with primary education, the more educated people
are.
There's
no formal education. And
exactly. So you will see that party leaders influence most people who are more educated, people who have diploma, people who have secondary school. And then you will see that media influence more people who have bachelors, people who, for example, have diploma. So the higher your level of education, the more you are influenced by the media. And then you see religious leaders. Religious leaders, for example, influence male the most, 18.4. You also see that religious leaders influence people with no formal education the most. So if you want to get those block of people selling pepper, selling gari, no formal education, the people who will influence them are religious leaders. And then you see that we also have more people who are influenced, for example, from the Southwest by party leaders, from the North Central by party leaders. And then you come here, you see that more people who are from the Southeast are influenced by the media, and more people from the Southwest the same. So if you go to the next slide, this then
So
explains
which region has the largest when it comes to religion?
when it comes to religious leaders, you will notice that the region where most people are influenced by religious leaders are people in the Northwest, are people in the Northwest, and then you see that the least are people in the Southeast. You know, so different factor, but the Southeast is influenced least by people, by religious leaders, but they are influenced most by the media. So different approach for different people. Go to the next slide.
Next slide.
And then here we then ask Nigerians, will you vote in the 2027 elections? 79.7% of Nigerians say that they will definitely vote, but that's their intention. Will it translate to reality?
Real vote.
Especially when we are looking at it across different geopolitical zones. We see that the highest block of people who intend to vote in the 2027 election are people in the Northwest.
The Northwest.
The Northwest.
91.8%.
91.8%. When you come down, you see that it is followed by people in the South. And then when you come down, you see that it is followed by people in the North Central. The least are people in the Southeast. So again, what this is telling us is that if Alpha 64.7% is not bad.
It's a large number, but still.
But when you compare that, the question then is why? Is it because of past voting experience that this is the least here? Again, it depends on,
So I'm looking at these numbers and I'm also looking at the graph because
Yes.
here you have definitely not.
People
and
will say
not
they
sure.
will definitely not vote in the 2027 elections. They are 5.5%. And those who say they are not sure whether they will vote in the 2027 election, they are 14.7%. So if you go to the next slide, we will then see, we now start delving into 91.3% of Nigerians have never voted for a person with disability before. So that means only 8.7% of Nigerians have ever voted for a person with disability. Go to the next slide. Now, this is quite instructive because we then ask them, why have you never voted for a person with disability? Most of Nigerians say that it's because there is no candidate available. When we analyze this data, we saw it across two things. It is first the fact that there was no PWD on the ballot, but even when there are persons with disabilities on the ballot, people are not aware that they are on the ballot. Again, INEC or even the ballot papers does not mark to say this person from, let's say, YPP is a person with disability. So you can't distinguish. What that tells candidates is that when you are campaigning, you are not campaigning, we'll talk about what influence voters. You are not campaigning on the basis of just your name. What people see on the ballot is the political party. So say I am Bukky Shonibare from YPP. I am Bukky Shonibare from PDP. Do you get so that? And then when you see the ballot paper, vote for YPP, repeat after me, vote for AP. Just make sure that you are campaigning not just based on you as a person, but based on your political party. And then we see, other concerns related to persons with disability to say, and you will see some of the concerns. Go to the next slide. And then here, we then ask people some questions. These are some of the past voting behavior. 52.2% of Nigerians says that persons with disabilities are naturally better leaders. That's their ideology, right? And then most people then say most PWDs lack the physical or mental capacity to lead. 58.4% of voters said that. And then, of course, those who now have stigma and prejudice towards PWDs, go to the next slide. Reason why they did not vote for them are 74.6%. What this is now telling us is, will you vote for a person with disability in the 2027 elections? You will see that 38.7% of voters said they will vote for persons with disability. What that says is that nearly 4 in 10 voters intend to support persons with disabilities in the 2027 election. Now, what we are then seeing from this data is that some past people remember that
8.3% have never voted for a person with disability before. But see the intention. It has gone up to 38.7.
Okay.
What that is telling us is that those who never used to vote a person with disability are now interested in voting a person with disability. Now, among those who have never voted for a PWD candidate, that's 91.3. This is the percentage that are now saying they will. This is the one that says they are not sure. And 29.5 says definitely not. Go to the next slide. And then, so this next slide is then saying who is most likely to support a person with disability as a candidate in 2027. You will notice that, of course, it varies across gender, more male, but this is where I want to rest. Here, persons with disability voters are more willing to vote for persons with disabilities within that category. So it means if you're a PWD, we have over 35 million persons with disabilities in Nigeria. It means if you're a PWD, convince your fellow PWD to come out and vote for you. We cannot roll away the stigma. We are still trying to work towards, but you also go to the next slide. You also notice that we have more intention in the South. And then here, this will interest you, that people are willing to vote for persons with disabilities into councillor position, followed by House of Assembly, followed by local government chairman. You see that very few people are willing to vote for PWDs as president. So go to the next slide. So this shows you that intention is also based on the office. Now here, we now categorize the voters who want to vote for persons with disabilities. There are those who are saying that come forward with your qualification. These are the qualification-based voters. Qualification then means that come with what makes you qualified more than the next candidate, whether the next candidate is abled or disabled. Those who prioritize merit are saying that come forward with your track record. Now, notice it says they are merit first. It doesn't mean they are not considering qualification, but what appeals to them the most is that the merit, your track record, and then there are now those who combine, these two. Go to the next slide. Now, from this next slide, you will see that have Nigerians ever voted for a youth before? Now going into youth, you will see that only 41.1% of Nigerians have ever voted for a youth before. That means, for 41.1%, go to the next slide. 58.9 have never voted. Why? Again, they said because there was none on the ballot. Even when they are on the ballot.
Or they didn't make it a primaries, guys.
Exactly, exactly. And then if you go, and then some are also saying that even when they are on the ballot, they are not well known. Go to the next slide. And then here you now begin to see some of the, perceptions that people have. 84.5% of Nigerians have the perception that young people bring fresh ideas and new perspectives to politics, so we should vote for them.
I see.
44.3% of Nigerians says that most young people lack the experience needed for political leadership, so we will not vote for them.
So quickly, let's go to the women's.
So let's go to the women's one.
Yes, next. I think you have to speak because that one, I know that a lot of women, are waiting to see that. If you keep going,
so keep going. So the same set of data analysis we did for young people, and then we'll now come down and see the one for women. 69.1% of Nigerians have never voted for a woman before. Only 30.9% of voters have done so. So that means 3 in 10 voters, go to the next slide, 3 in 10 voters in Nigeria are the ones who have voted. Why? The same thing. 51.1 said that because there was no woman, on the ballot. Again, even where there are women, are you aware? But do women make it beyond the primaries? Because if you don't, you are not going to be on the ballot. But 9.8% are saying that because we don't really know this person. So candidates are not well known. So these are some of the reasons some still believe, that, their religion discourages it. Beyond past behavior, we ask the question, how open are you? 52.4% of Nigerians said men are natural good leaders. So we would prefer a man. 49.2 says that most women lack the experience needed for political leadership. Adaora, this is almost half of Nigerians who still believe there's a lot of work to do. Go to the next slide, and then there are those. But sorry, if you go to that previous slide, it is important for us to note this particular figure, that when we now did the Women in Leadership Openness Index, basically asking how open and Nigerians to women leadership, 3.63 out of 5. That's good.
Okay.
We believe that that is moderate. Now
Okay.
go to the next slide.
Next slide, please.
So here, what we are saying is that will you vote for a woman in the 2027 election? Look at the green bar. 64.4% of Nigerians said in 2027 election, we will vote for a woman. What that tells you is that recall that 30.9% of Nigerians are the ones that have ever voted. That has now increased to 64.4.
So that's almost by half.
That's almost by half. So go to the next slide. No, so here you are seeing that more females are willing to vote for women, in the next election. This is interesting. That more elderly, more middle-aged people are willing to vote for women.
65.
Yes, and then we also have more support for women from the South. We also then see, followed by those in the North Central, and then followed by those in the Northeast. Yeah. Of course, the least we are seeing in the Northwest. Go to the next slide. And then this tells you that Nigerians are more interested or more willing to vote for women into legislative offices. More people are willing to vote for women into House of Reps. 80.3% of those. And the list is the presidency. But see this gap. There is a 20 percentile difference between this gap.
So there's hope.
There is hope, actually. Go to the next slide. And then you will see here, this is quite important. You will see here that those who want to vote for women are saying that those of us who prioritize merit will vote for women. The merit first voters are saying, when you come to us as a woman, don't come and say, vote for me because I am a woman. Vote for me based on your merit. Your merit is your track record, your credibility, your clear policies, your qualifications, what you will do. But there are those who then say that identity is also important for us. They are guided by identity, but they also, are merit-based voters. They are saying that identity is, are you an active member of a political party? Are you in a religious group that aligns with us, their identity, also ethnicity? This IBA basically say a mix of both, And then if you go to, I think this is like my final slide. All of this is saying that Nigerians are willing to vote for women. Young people are persons with disabilities, but there are conditions to it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Buki Shonibara. Well, that was a race and a marathon indeed. But really, this is so eye-opening, and it just creates the layers of interventions just before the 2027 election.
Absolutely.
What women should be doing, what persons with disability should be doing, and what you should be also doing and looking out for. But one thing I do get clear is that there is always a level of political interest by each group. So it's very important. So if you want to look at this survey, please, you can scan this so that you can get the different, surveys for the different categories. And I think this is where it's great for us to, take a wrap on today's program. But trust me, it's not over until it's over. We will keep bringing this analysis to you, continue to engage you to be able to have, perspectives that are 1, factual, 1, directional, and 3, 1 that is really research for you to make that decision. So it's not just enough for you to say, I'm a politician and I'm going to run. Why are you running? Who are you running for? And what will you do when you get that office? Thank you so much, Buki.
Thank you so much,
Great.
Agaga.
Thank you.
And thanks to AIT too.
Thank you. All right, so that's, of course, where we call it a wrap. And thank God it's Friday. I'll let you skedaddle and go have yourself a good weekend. My name is Adora Sydney Jack. See you again next week. So basically, you're seeing that women, we have a lot to do.
We have a lot to do.
We have a lot to do.
And then you see that thing, I'm particular about that 64.4%. They are going to vote for women. What they are saying is come forward with your men.
So this special seat not go work.
Say we know if they talk that one outside.
I nearly
Hello and welcome to this new edition of Initiative Africa, the program that shines a spotlight on the women, men and projects shaping the continent's future. Today we focus on financial inclusion, and with our guest we dive into a system many of us know very well, tontines. Traditional savings groups deeply rooted across Africa. But first, here are the headlines of this edition. He wants to transform the way Africans save and open the door to investment across the continent. Trained in law and finance in Europe, this young Senegalese entrepreneur is launching a startup this year to modernize the tontine system. He's our guest today.
In practical terms, we connect tontines to financial markets through professional, regulated, and supervised asset managers. Our ambition is to allow tontine members to make their savings productive.
Improving financial inclusion without compromising customer security, a major new challenge for Africa's banking sector.
The biggest challenge we face is scammers. We are constantly looking for ways to avoid their traps. Banks often invite us to seminars to educate us on how scammers operate, such as sending fraudulent texts.
And finally, meeting the energy, agricultural and security challenges facing Africa. This is the ambition driving a new generation of engineering students in Douala.
I'm passionate about energy and in particular renewable energy, and the idea of creating a startup in this field which will help to exploit the hydrographic power of our country more globally, of the sub-region and of the continent is something I'm looking forward to and which I will be proud of tomorrow.
Despite a more challenging funding environment, Africa's fintech sector continues to grow at a rapid pace. A recent report by the European Investment Bank highlights that this growth is largely driven by digital finance. Last year, Africa counted 1,263 companies operating in this segment compared to just 450 in 2020. Mobile networks offering financial services from accounts opening to deposits, withdrawals and loans now allow millions of users to manage their economic activities directly from their mobile phones, a boost for national economies, but also an opening for fraud. Tanzania provides a telling example of how technology can improve financial inclusion while raising new risks. For over 9 years, Ramdani Togolani has served as a bank agent, assisting more than 100 customers daily. He highlights how bank agencies have made it easier for people to access their money regardless of location.
The majority of our clients are government and private sector officials who receive their monthly payments between the 20th and 10th of each month. Business people, however, use our services daily. As a result, bank agency operations are especially busy during this period.
Tugulani views financial inclusion as a gateway to employment opportunities, noting that many young people have found jobs in the financial sector. However, he acknowledges the persistent issue of fraud.
The biggest challenge we face is scammers. We are constantly looking for ways to avoid their traps. Banks often invite us to seminars to educate us on how scammers operate, such as sending fraudulent texts. Even the police send us alerts to keep us informed.
For customers like Tobias Musalu, bank agency services offer a sense of security. Before using these services, he stored his money at home in a small box where it was vulnerable.
I prefer using bank agents because my money always enters through banks. So if I have my bank account, it has been easy for withdraw my money anywhere. When I see the agencies, I use them to have my money in my hands mostly. That's why I prefer to use bank agents.
In contrast, Ms. Thekela Richard, a tailor for over 5 years, finds mobile money services more convenient because of their accessibility.
Since 5 years ago when I started my business, I've been using mobile phone transaction services because it is efficient and convenient for me. It's easy because the services are near wherever I am. I can get the services, and when you're dealing with money, you really need to have a proper way of storing the money and the proper way to actually do transaction formally for reference. So having my money stored within my home or my business place was risky because it's easy if anything happens like robbery or any other issue that may lead for me to lose my money. It's hard for me to track or to get a reference or to be able to get it back quickly.
Despite growing competition in the financial sector, Catherine Rutange, head of agency banking at CRDB Bank, sees demand continuing to rise. She believes the vision should extend beyond competition, ensuring all Tanzanians have access to affordable and reliable financial services. CRDB Bank is prioritizing rural areas where access to financial services is still limited.
When you are looking at rural areas, for us, we are following the cash corridors. So in rural area, there are certain economic activity that's happening on their day-to-day lives. So what we do, we are providing services that are going to allow us to engage and work with them and assist them to access those services that they do on a daily basis. Let's say most people from rural areas are agriculturists. So we went far ahead and create some accounts that will be catering for that particular segment of customers.
These free farms accounts have become increasingly popular in rural areas, reversing a long-standing lack of access to financial services. Enhancing financial inclusion in these regions could unlock significant opportunities. According to the 2022 Tanzania census, 40 million of the country's 61 million people live in rural areas. With mobile phone penetration at 83.66% in 2023, this well-connected rural population could be a key driver of Tanzania's economic development. Africans save on average 20% of their country's GDP. While many turn to mobile money applications, tontines remain the continent's preferred savings vehicle. Yet today, this traditional model is no longer fully suited to Africa's modern economic needs. To discuss this transformation, we met financial expert Emmanuel Turpin, who is launching the Tonti Capital platform this year. He explained to Laurent Soustras how he plans to mobilize African savings and turn them into a powerful lever for development. Emmanuel Turpin, hello. Welcome to Initiative Africa.
Bonjour.
Can you introduce Tonti Capital?
Tonti Capital
is a secure digital platform designed to transform tontines into collective investment vehicles.
En véhicule d'investissement collectif. Donc concrètement,
in practical terms, we connect tontines to financial markets through professional, regulated, and supervised asset managers. Our ambition is to allow Tontine members to make their savings productive.
Rendre leur épargne productive.
There's the word tontine in Tonti capital.
Tout à fait.
Can you remind us of the origin of tontines in Africa? Are they found across the entire continent?
Relativement, oui.
Relatively, yes. It is difficult to assign a precise origin to tontines, even though authorship is often attributed to Lorenzo Tonti in the 17th century. But clearly, tontines existed long before him. Let me give you a simple example. In villages in the past, after harvest season, families would set aside part of their crops in a shared granary. This was to prepare for hard times, such as drought, and also to help families who had poorer harvests. That is already a form of tontine. In reality, the tontine was not created out of nowhere. It appears wherever solidarity becomes necessary, wherever banks are absent, whenever communities organize collectively to solve problems. So giving an exact origin date is very difficult. What is certain is that it is an ancient mechanism that has endured over time and taken different forms across generations.
Are there regional differences?
Tout à fait, parce que
Absolutely. There are several types of tontines. The most common today is the rotating tontine. But there are tontines used to finance events, equipment, or specific projects. Some compensate their managers, others are free. Some operate with interest, others without. The configurations vary widely depending on the society. There are many different forms.
Originally, tontines were based on community solidarity. Later, they evolved into money tontines, a kind of rotating savings scheme, as you mentioned. What are the advantages and limitations?
Alors, l'avantage d'une tontine, c'est déjà l'accès.
The main advantage is immediate access to liquidity. By participating, you commit to receiving a fixed amount at a specific time. It is something you plan in advance. It helps solve short-term needs.
Vous avez préparé. L'avantage, c'est de pouvoir.
The tontine operates like a social algorithm. It is based on trust, reputation, dignity, and even shame if someone fails to pay. There may now be legal recourse in some cases, but because the mechanism is informal, unwritten, and untraceable, it creates legal uncertainty.
Qui n'est pas tracé, ça les met dans une forme d'insécurité juridique.
That leads to the disadvantages. A tontine works well to finance education, buy land, or cover urgent expenses, but it does not allow scaling, unless participants contribute very large amounts, and the capital does not generate returns.
Beaucoup d'argent. Et en plus, c'est un capital qui ne produit rien.
One of the major limitations we observed is that Africa needs financing and resources. The capital exists, but it operates parallel to the formal financial system. So we needed a way to channel it and connect it to regulated markets.
De la canaliser et de la connecter au système financier formel pour pouvoir permettre non seulement aux membres de tontine d'être inclus financièrement, parce que
Our goal is not to replace banks. We are an alternative to financial exclusion. Tontine members keep their habits. They retain liquidity for immediate needs. But they can invest part of their savings to generate returns, finance the real economy, and create tangible impact in their communities.
concret sur le développement de leur communauté.
So that is what you achieved with Tonti Capital. How does it work concretely?
On va pas entrer dans.
Without going into technical details, since the platform is still under development, here is the basic principle. Imagine a rotating tontine with 10 members. Each contributes 100 euros. That creates a pot of 1,000 euros. Each member receives the full 1,000 euros in turn. That is the traditional system.
La première cotisation, elle est toujours investie, de sorte que quand vous recevez votre tour, vous recevez N-1. Donc,
With our model, the first contribution is invested. So when it is your turn, you receive a -1. You receive 900 euros. But the 100 euros you invested remains invested. You can track it on the platform. You can see where it is allocated, the return generated, and the impact created.
Ça dépend quelle catégorie de fonds c'est, dans quel domaine c'est investi. Mais vous pouvez vous rendre compte que le secteur dans lequel il investit.
An investment fund can invest across many sectors, depending on its strategy. But you can choose impact sectors aligned with your values. You can see the real effect of your investment. The tontine becomes the investment vehicle. It moves from informal status to formal, even institutional status. It is already a financial product, but informal. We formalize it, giving it all the benefits and potential of modern finance. In the future, it could even lead to derivative products.
De sorte qu'on pourra même en faire demain des produits dérivés, quoi.
Are you seeking to boost your business in Africa and Europe? Increase your visibility with Business Frequency thanks to our network of national television channels in more than 40 countries. Every week, more than 100 broadcasts across Africa, the Indian Ocean and Europe. Don't miss this unique opportunity. Contact us now and put your brand into the spotlight.
Welcome to the second part of our program. Before returning to our guest Emmanuel Turpin, we take you inside the training of those preparing Africa's future. Between the strong momentum of startups and the opportunities created by the African Continental Free Trade Area, the continent needs an increasingly skilled workforce. But where and how are Africa engineers trained? This is a key question, including for European universities, which are expanding partnerships with African campuses. In Douala, Cameroon, our correspondent Maxime Faralbonia met with a group of young engineers determined to play a role in the renewable energy revolution. Take a look.
Kevin, a young engineering student majoring in general engineering in the international and innovation field, has been striving to tackle hunger in his country, Cameroon mainly, and also in Africa more generally. He and his classmate students at the UCAC Institute, the Catholic University of Central Africa, and the ICAM, group of French engineering schools, have just designed a drone with the capacity to boost the development of agriculture and hopefully do more.
Agribusiness is part of the culture of Cameroon today. It is the backbone of our economy, and using rural materials does not allow us to be productive and competitive in the market. Using a drone, for example, is a solution to bring more efficiency. We also thought that the drone would be suitable for taking pictures in different situations in case of disasters or other problems. You know, a piece of equipment that can go where a man cannot and provide us a global picture of the situation.
With at least 905 students spread over the Douala campus in Cameroon and Pointe-Noire, Congo for the past 21 years, the UCAC ICAM Institute, with the support of numerous partners in the CIMAC zone and the Democratic Republic of Congo, has been providing students with 5 years of professional training as general engineers who can intervene in most areas. Kevin, like Maela, a student in the same school specializing in process engineering, intend to fight against global warming at the origin of the climatic changes and upheavals that led to floods or droughts in Africa. For these young engineers, renewable energy, for example, can be part of the solution.
I'm passionate about energy and in particular renewable energy and the idea of creating a startup in this field which will help to exploit the hydrographic power of our country more globally, of the sub-region and of the continent is something I'm looking forward to and which I will be proud of tomorrow.
The world today is subject to many constraints, whether climatic or environmental. All this is due to global warming and the abusive use of fossil fuels. So our solutions are part of the ecological transition from fossil fuels to green energy.
Afin de passer des énergies fossiles aux énergies vertes.
Why do we do this? To reduce our environmental impact, to reduce our CO2 production, to limit the greenhouse effect, and to be part of a sustainable development framework. Brian is another young engineer with big ambitions who works on cybersecurity. He plans to work on protecting data and information vital to protect the country's security.
Il s'agit, et surtout dans le contexte africain,
It is a question, especially in African context, of being able to secure our information here and not just exporting it abroad to secure it.
capacité de le faire nous-mêmes ici. Ce que je veux apporter.
We can do it ourselves here. What I want to bring is, first of all, my expertise to show that all these banks, which are here in Africa, can test the equipment.
Des équipements, on peut bien tout aussi les faire ici en
For example, we can just easily do it here locally without necessarily bringing in foreign consultants or deploying the application to the foreign services to test it.
Et mon objectif en fait c'est de pouvoir monter.
My objective is to set up a protocol made by us Africans to encrypt information better so that a third party cannot read the communication.
Illisible par une tierce personne.
The acquisition and integration of knowledge and skills also relies on the quality of grassroots training.
We teach our students to learn continuously. We give them the tools to be in a long life learning cycle, upskilling and moving up the ladder, particularly through active learning in the skill-based and project-based approaches. This allows them to be relatively autonomous in their learning processes, autonomous in their approach to problems and autonomous in resolving situations. We want our engineer to have the capacity to deploy themselves in all different disciplines, industrial, scientific and even technical. We must instill in our engineer the ability to be up to date in terms of hindsight on society and the need to which they can provide solutions and produce value.
Beyond the genius, the will and the determination sometimes inspired by the models, these young engineers will need more to impact the development of African countries efficiently.
The different political systems should be designed in such a way as to allow young people like us to become entrepreneurs. But we also need the confidence of the various financiers and banks to access adequate funding and confidence to promote our abilities, because among ourselves we know that we are competent and capable of doing and making Africa proud. But for that to happen, we need to be given the means, we need to be given the opportunity, and we need to be trusted.
90% of the young engineers trained at this school are successfully integrated into the professional world. The UCAC ICAM Institute does not content itself with only growing its African Leadership Factory, but also offers non-compulsory exchange semesters from the 4th year onwards in the ICAM France sites or their partner universities worldwide. These young engineers generally work in their home countries. Some of them continue with a specialized master's or MBA to develop a specific skill abroad before returning home, while a small number prefer to start their professional career internationally.
We now return to our guest, Emmanuel Chopin, co-founder of Tonti Capital, who tells us how he came to combine law and finance in his professional journey. Let's listen to him. Emmanuel Chopin, today you are a lawyer in Luxembourg, but you are Senegalese and you studied in St. Louis. When did you first become interested in law and finance?
Je dois dire que j'ai atterri dans le droit un peu par hasard.
I must admit I entered law somewhat by chance. We receive strong academic training, but when it comes to university orientation, things can become unclear. After high school, I wanted to study in France, but lacked financial means.
J'ai rencontré Monsieur Amadou Diaw, qui était à l'époque le président du groupe ISM, qui est une business school.
I met Mr. Hamoudou Diaw, then president of ISM Group, a leading business school in West Africa. He encouraged me to enroll. After passing the entrance exam, I obtained a 3-year scholarship and completed a degree in business law and management, alongside a private law degree in partnership with the University of Toulouse.
Partenariat avec l'Université de Toulouse. Donc, ayant réussi cette licence, j'ai atterri à Toulouse, mais je ne savais toujours pas ce que...
After graduating, I moved to Toulouse, still unsure about my career path. During my master's program, I took a financial law course with Professor Julien Théron. That was the turning point. I immediately knew this was what I wanted to do. I then applied to a master's program in finance, project finance, and structured finance at the University of Nanterre. At the time, I did not necessarily plan to become a lawyer, but my studies opened my eyes to the global financial system, especially in Africa, and to products we use daily, but whose potential we do not fully exploit.
Notamment sur des produits sur lesquels on devrait travailler parce qu'ils existent, nous les pratiquons tous les jours, mais nous n'en exploitons pas le potentiel. Et donc aujourd'hui, on est dans un environnement où quand on veut faire de la création...
Today, financial innovation is heavily regulated. Africa has specific development needs. To address them, we need flexibility in designing solutions. Developed countries had that flexibility in the past, sometimes learning through crisis. African financial professionals now face the challenge of innovating within a stricter framework.
Cracher pour pouvoir trouver des solutions pour maintenant réglementer et éviter que ça ne se reproduise plus. Donc c'est particulièrement challenging pour les financiers africains, mais il faudrait qu'ils s'y penchent et qu'ils puissent trouver des solutions adaptées, quoi, tout simplement.
When you arrived in Luxembourg, did that help you adapt the tontine to modern finance?
Tout à fait. Arrivé au Luxembourg, je travaille sur des fonds d'investissement.
Absolutely. In Luxembourg, I work on investment funds. I specialize in funds designed for retail investors, ordinary individuals, not large institutions.
Personnes comme vous et moi, des particuliers. La finance étant très réglementée, en fonction du type d'investisseur, il y a des règles spécifiques qui s'appliquent.
Financial regulation varies depending on the investor profile. Working with retail structures created natural bridges with tontines, since they are also used by individuals.
Pour les particuliers et qu'on regarde la structure des tontines, l'enjeu était de trouver une façon.
By comparing the structure of regulated funds and tontines, the objective became clear: to allow tontine members to become investors in regulated vehicles already suited to their profile. Luxembourg gave me clarity on the legal compliance required to build that bridge.
Qu'il faut avoir du point de vue juridique pour pouvoir atteindre notre objectif de connexion.
From Luxembourg, what gaps do you observe in African finance?
La lacune principale que je vais citer, c'est qu'aujourd'hui, les étudiants africains connaissent très bien les produits structurés, dérivés américains, les obligations d'État européennes, les structures luxembourgeoises, mais
One major gap is that African students know American derivatives, European sovereign bonds, Luxembourg fund structures, but few study African financial products, like the tontine. That is problematic. Very few financial professionals have examined its intrinsic potential, how it works, or how to modernize it.
De ce produit, sur comment il fonctionne et comment on pourrait le moderniser, l'adapter, c'est qu'on a un réel problème. L'autre point, c'est que quand vous voyez comment les États empruntent au niveau des investisseurs internationaux, que ce soit sur le marché des eurobonds ou au niveau des institutions internationales comme le FMI, alors que vous voyez qu'il y a une économie parallèle avec des mécanismes comme les tontines, vous vous posez également des questions.
Another issue concerns sovereign borrowing. African states issue Eurobonds or borrow from institutions like the IMF, while a parallel domestic capital system exists. Africa does not lack capital, it lacks structuring. The real challenge is how to structure domestic capital and connect it to modern finance that would strengthen negotiation power and help finance the real economy more effectively.
Plus d'assises financières pour financer l'économie réelle de notre continent, quoi.
What differentiates you from the other digital tontines?
Alors, deux choses. La première, c'est que les tontines digitales classiques
Two things. First, many digital tontines already exist, such as Money Fellows, Motontini, or Circle in France. But to our knowledge, none are connected to financial markets.
Aucun projet, aucune tontine digitale qui soit connectée au marché financier. Donc notre objectif est de permettre justement à la tontine de prendre...
Our objective is to elevate the tontine and make the connection with capital markets obvious. Savings remain secure, but part of the savings is invested. That changes everything. It brings depth to our financial markets. A few years ago, the BOVM celebrated a market capitalization of 10,000 billion CFA francs, roughly 15 billion euros. That is about the size of a single Luxembourg fund.
Et ont besoin de profondeur. Sans cette profondeur, les sociétés ne vont pas se coter suffisamment parce qu'elles n'auront pas forcément d'intérêt à le faire. Sans cette profondeur, on ne peut pas vraiment développer de produits.
Our markets are small. They need depth. Without depth, companies hesitate to list. Without depth, derivatives cannot develop. Without depth, sovereign bonds are mostly purchased by institutions, not individuals. Creating depth allows retail investors to participate. We simply need to change the way formal finance views African financial products. We must modernize them, adapt them, and allow them to scale.
De prendre plus d'altitude, quoi, tout simplement.
And that's all for this edition of Initiative Africa. You can find Emmanuel Turpin's full interview along with all our programs on our website, africana.com, and across our social media platforms. Don't forget to share, like, and comment using the hashtag Initiative Africa. And join us next week, same time, same channel, for a new episode of Business Africa. Have a great week, and until next time, goodbye.
Hello and thanks for staying with us. Welcome to Political Platform on Repa Radio and Africa Independent Television, AIT. My name is Amechi Anapue. Now, as Osun State prepares for its governorship election on August 15, that's this Saturday, concerns over political violence are once again casting a dark shadow over the electoral process. Allegations of attacks, intimidation, and politically motivated killings have featured prominently in the build-up to the poll, with rival parties trading accusations over who is responsible. The controversy has now taken a more disturbing turn following a viral video in which Senator Francis Adefadahunsi, representing Osun East in the Senate, was heard calling on supporters to kill Accord party members found in Ilesha ahead of the election. Now, with barely days to the election, the big question is whether Osun State is heading towards another cycle of political violence, or whether security agencies and political leaders can prevent rhetoric from translating into bloodshed. What does the alleged statement by Senator Fadahunsi say about the level of political violence in the state? Who should be held accountable for election-related violence? And can security agencies guarantee the safety of voters, candidates, and party supporters, especially on election day? These are the issues we will examine today. We'll be joined by Bukola Idowu. Bukola Idowu is the Executive Director, Kimpact Development Initiative. Idowu is already on ground in Osun State as he leads a delegation of election observers to track and monitor the election. My colleagues are here with me, Uju Ejeye and Mustafa Mohammed. Welcome to the program.
Welcome. Thank you very much, Amit, and welcome to our listeners and viewers.
Thank you very much. Good to join us today. Okay, let's start off our discourse today with sounds and sights from the statement credited to Senator Francis Fadahunsi, where he was using words that I even find difficult to say on this in the studio here, where he's making reference to what will happen to Accord party members on voting day. Take a listen. Okay, a quick translation to what Senator Fadahunsi said. From now on, whenever you see Accord party members, kill them. I authorize you to kill them. They have wives and children too. This is a federal government election. On election day, even if they call with voters card, we won't allow them to vote. So after Senator Fadahunsi was forced to clarify that statement in a television interview, he tried to make some clarifications. Let's take a listen.
I didn't say it in English because you cannot interpret all this in English. I told them this shows that they are weak. This shows that they cannot win. They should shut them down by their vote. They should kill them by their vote. So anybody that is interpreting is tip-top here and there. This is his business.
You see, our leaders think they can ride roughshod over the citizens. I mean, look at even the callous way he was explaining, as if, you know, we don't care. We've already made up our minds what to do. I mean, they say I should clarify. Okay, there you are. If you're not satisfied, that's your business. I mean, who does he think he's talking to? He's talking to Nigerians in a society where the electorate actually determine the result of an election. I do not think that this kind of language will go, you know, unconsidered by citizens. I think that he went too far. Whatever point he was trying to make, except of course if he actually meant that they should be killed, he can't come and tell us that whoever is interpreting. We understand Yoruba language. What does that mean? Anywhere we see them, it is killing.
Is that from
killing?
Is that from where we started that word?
Yeah, I don't know that. I mean, you know, my worry brethren have a way.
Yes.
You know.
Okay, that one originated from what?
So we have our special languages, you know. So that if we keep it in other words, anywhere you see them, now he said kill Accord. Accord is not plural in nature. You can't say tabarimo, not means more than one person or one thing. So I think that people like him, politicians like him, who think that politics is a do or die affair and that you have to employ anything, including ungodly ways, in order to get to power, should go and have the fear of God. Let God touch their conscience, because we can't keep playing politics like this. That's what has become the bane of our society, to the point that we can't get credible people to lead us. We have people, charlatans, talks, becoming political leaders in Nigeria. There are men.
Now, if you say they should fear God, are we leaving it to divinity to deal with? Don't we have security agencies? Don't we have security agencies that will put him in, question him, and consider that place? Since that thing happened, we have not heard any report of any invitation by any security agency. And coming at a time, Labour Party members in Osun State have been arrested in scores, in their huge numbers, and moved hundreds of kilometers away to Abuja. Perhaps, I don't know what the security agencies will do today. I don't think we should leave it to divinity. Let God deal with the situation. Let them fear God.
I'm saying that let them have the fear of God, because I believe that if you have the fear of God, whether as a security agent or whatever, you will do what you are mandated to do. There are fears, and fears that are not unfounded, that we may not get the kind of result we need from the security agents. Look at, from where he was talking, ideally in a sane society, he should be picked up even an hour or two latest after that kind of incisive statement. But nothing has happened, and nothing may happen. And then if you go back to the other election too that you were part of, you will understand what I am saying. Remember, it was almost like this, except that this one has exceeded a bit, and nothing happened to date. Even those who perpetrated violence that were captured vividly, nothing happened. Let us hope that the security agencies will stop letting this country down during elections. They should not be complicit in whatever happens, in any illegality or perpetration of violence. Even if we cannot do anything, there is a higher being who takes note and who will deal with every man according to his sins at the right time.
I disagree with the submission that we pray to God to touch their hearts.
We're going to faith.
This is where we get it wrong in Nigeria. Look at our underdevelopment, for example. Let me chip in this quick. With all the natural human resources, population, which is a big market, and intellect, instead of building factories, we are building churches and mosques, going to Jerusalem and Mecca every time. How does that solve our problem? Coming back to, God will not come down to at here in Nigeria to solve our problem, because he has given us the capacity. Coming back to the issue of Osun State, the unfortunate statement by the senator and his rude and arrogant manner in which he tried to defend what he said. It's only in Nigeria that you try to call for the killing of your fellow beings and citizens like Boko Haram, ISWAP bandits are doing, and nothing will happen to you. Let me give you an example. When Apostle Dan Suleiman is still on the internet on YouTube, spoke about, if you see Fulani, kill them. He went into hiding. But even when he came out, I don't think he was arrested or prosecuted. Sani Jingir, this sheikh that a few days ago disparaged Christians, tried to flare up tensions, insulted the Nigerian Christians who have divine book, go to church, calling them pagan. And apparently, Jingir doesn't even understand the provisions of the Islamic religion about Christianity, Judaism, and even those who follow non-divine religion. Has he been arrested? No. And then this senator's own, unfortunately, is number 3. He has not been arrested, which also means that other people will use the public space, call for killing and destructions of humans, and nothing will happen to them. And then here, Our security agents are there, they will pretend that they are trying to enforce the law. This is where they will start enforcing the law firstly. Pick up those people. Tell them to court and prosecute. Let them defend themselves. If any crisis erupts in Osun with the kind of statement this man has made, how are you going to defend it?
Are you sure crises have not erupted? Because we have already a number of deaths. We are numbers because a group in Osun State, the Justice and Peace Initiative, has been putting numbers together, and we share a screenshot of the election violence we have already seen in Osun State, and it cuts across all parties. It's not the ruling party, it's not the opposition party, it's all of them. But some are more arrogant than the others. Take a look at this screenshot. Unless political parties' involvement in reported cases of violence tracked by this group, Accord Party 38%, APC 48% leading, others 14%. And from the figures we have, about 18 persons have already been killed in Osun State in the run-up to this election. And the question is, how many people will you kill? Because they want to be in government house in Osogbo. How many people will you kill? That's the question.
And most of these people don't have anything to offer. And like Mustafa said, it's because of the way we gloss over things like this as a nation. Okay, if you recall when some Mieti Allah people accepted, that they were the ones who perpetrate certain measures of violence and killings. Nothing still happened. And so why would such things not continue? And why would our politicians not get away with it? Even when you catch them in action during elections, perpetrating acts of violence, perpetrating rigging and other forms of crimes, nothing happens. Even the security agents right there will look at you and say, why are you making noise? Because in most cases, some of them have been settled. They have been settled. So until we begin to fear God, I'm still saying it because it is the fear of God that will make you to do the right thing. Until we begin to know that this life, after at the end of it all these things, we will not carry them beyond this world. Then only to begin to respect fellow human lives.
In Nigeria, we only think about God when it comes to prosperity. My God is not a poor God and you can't be poor. But the truth of the matter is God will never come down to give you the money or make you live in peace. It's your own action you have to do. And it's not just in Osun State now that the general election is approaching. 2 days ago, we learned, unfortunately, the wife of one of the governorship candidates in Lafia was attacked. Her car was smashed. Is that how we are going to approach the next general election? And of course, you may not know what is being planned or what is happening in things that will be happening in other states of the Federation. The Inspector General of Police, Disu, who is very capable, I think need to double up his efforts. The director... He needs to come up courage. Yes, the Department of State Security should use his people to gather a lot of intelligence. People in the communities should inform both the police and the Department of State Security. It's supposed to be a collective responsibility to gather both intelligence, make information available. Security agents, you don't expect them to be spirits or angels that they will know everything that is being. But don't forget the fact that this is the same politician that will buy daggers, sticks, weeds, and finance these talks for their own advantage.
I expected the senator in that clarifications to apologize profusely and said, perhaps I went over on his knees and said, forgive me, henceforth I'll be an ambassador of peace and no to election violence. But he clearly showed I was very callous in that clarification.
And that, of course, would also tell you that they have made up their minds what they want to do before and during the elections. I'm really worried about even the election eve.
And this is how you build up to calamity. When you can do it and get away with it, your opponents will be forced to resort to self-help, where the security agencies
fail to do the needful, the opponents will now say, okay, I won't leave it to God like Uju is praying. So we call on the security agencies to do the needful. They should know that their loyalty is to the Nigerian state and not to anybody or any political party, and save the ship of our democracy. If Senator Fadansi is not held to account in Nigeria, I can promise you that outside the shores of the country, he will be held to account. The United States, the European Union, they have this policy of denying visas to those politicians who deny their children get violence. So I can assure you that that senator may not visit United States again. And may be allowed to gain entry into the European Union. If the Nigerian security agencies fail to do the needful, we trust foreign countries to do so. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll hope to have our guest who's already in Osun State, Bukola Idowu, Executive Director, Kimpact Development Initiative, join us to tell us the situation on ground. Do stay with us.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT, on air, online,
Get ready for a bold new chapter in political discourse. The conversations that matter most are stepping into the spotlight like never before. Political platform, the hard-hitting, no-holds-barred program you've trusted on Rayfar Radio is making a powerful move to television. Tune in to Africa Independent Television, AIT, as political platform debuts on your screen, bringing deeper analysis, sharper debates, and the voices shaping our nation's future right into your screens. From policy and politics breakdowns to real-time discussions with key stakeholders, this is more than a program. It is where opinions are tested. Truths are on.
The manner of governance by APC, the manner of governance by ACO, has unnecessarily and unduly triggered undue interest of non-state actors in the political process. And we do know that some of these state actors, they have history of violence. We have lots of information about the number of killings. In some quarters, we even have a political party that said from their members alone, over 30 people have been killed. We have even a report also from the Nigerian police force that over 30 people have died already in Osun State. But for us, it is disturbing that an important stakeholder like the Nigerian police force is going to make that kind of statement, and there is no public record of the places where those over 30 deaths took place. The names of individuals that died, we do not have them. We do think that this manner of communication or this communication strategy of the Nigerian police force is something that needs real improvements.
Input is from Justice and Peace Initiative, and welcome our guest virtually. He joins us from Osogbo in Osun State. Bukola Idowu, Executive Director, Kimpact Development Initiative. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. It's good to be with you again this morning.
I also know that Kimpact Development Initiative is tracking violence and number of people killed so far in Osun State in the run-up to this election. Let's start from there.
Very unfortunate, and I think it's not it's a data that we is not to be celebrated. As I'm talking to you, with election violence in Osun State documented, that we documented with the dates, with the time, and with the location. The number of perpetrators, and then in terms of the perpetrators, and then number of the deaths that have been recorded. We have, as of this morning, have recorded over 32 cases, deaths directly linked to the election. And I'm not talking about criminality. I'm talking about direct election-related deaths. 32 have been recorded. And that is so unfortunate. Do you even know that in Ilesha, Axis, 3 people died yesterday?
After that, before or after the statement by the senator?
The attack. In Ilesha yesterday. So, and that is the atmosphere at which we are expecting election in Osun. Don't forget,
just to clarify, Ilesha is where Senator Fadahunsi made that statement about killing.
Absolutely. Three people were killed. Made that statement yesterday. Now, Senator Fadahunsi made that statement, addressed the people in front of the palace of the king of Ilesha. That is the center of the town of Ilesha. That was where he made that statement. Very close, if you know that place, the king palace is at the center of the town and the major market is there. So where he addressed the people is just in front of the king's palace, the popular, so it's so unfortunate. This is what we are having in Osun at the moment. That is what the data is saying.
The concept of electoral violence and threats did not start today. If you can remember, at the previous election, before Muhammadu Buhari won his election, he made a threat. Dogs and baboons are going to fight dirty. And he can stand back to Olusegun Obasanjo, do or die affair. And we have seen post-election violence when Muhammad Buhari lost that very election. But however, in several other states, there were politicians, governors forming political talks. We are talking about Mdaba, Farah Suka, Ekomog, Nkalare. Some of these governors who formed those groups are still there, even though they have left office, and other governors have taken them over. How do you think we can overcome these deliberate actions of political thuggery, killings, maiming, and what have you during election?
So one of the things we have done is to really dig into what is really causing this, most especially as we move into the Osun State election. Number one, you need to understand the context around this election in Osun State. Number one is that Osun State has, in the southwest, one of the largest concentration of court members are in Osun State. That is one thing you need to know. Now, so you now have like about different factions of courts in Osun State. Even outside the election, these are the people that fight naturally. They fight the rival group, they keep fighting. So what has happened and what has escalated this beyond into the election is that the politicians, the political party now begin to infiltrate these court people, and then the court people now begin to declare alliance to one political party or the other. So what you now have in Ilesha, in Osogbo, Oloruda, Axis, is that courts that are loyal to a court party, you have them. Courts that are loyal to APC, you have them. So, and these are the people that are being used. Now, proliferation of arms in Osogbo, to be specific, and Ilesha Axis is also high. So what you have is that you have court members who are ready and the politicians have infiltrated. So you now have court people now being loyal to political party. In fact, to shock you, in some instances, political parties and politicians infiltrated some of this court group, and what happened is that the court group, even a single court group, are now factionalized. So just like you will now have factional leader of this, factional leader of this, still they are also factionalized. The same court group are now factionalized to one political party and the other political.
So what is the reaction of the security agencies?
So they said that they are factionalized, even loyalty to politicians.
How are the security agents reacting to all of this?